Hi, hello. Welcome to Dear PB, a podcast where we hopefully help you become a better speedrunner, but probably won't. I'm Corva May, but you can call me May, or she, or her.
I'm Swoos. You can call me SWC, or he, or they.
And joining us from I didn't look up ahead of time where Octopath Traveler takes place, it's Sanjan.
Hello everyone, I'm a oh my goodness. I'm a RPG speedrunner. I specialize in plenty of different games though.
I definitely forgot you forgot your own name there for a second.
I'm
Oh god, who am I? Oh no.
Oh man.
They threw out his name.
Where's the name?
This is our post-frame Fatales extravaganza, which is why we have Sanjan here. Sanjan did the closing run, and it was very good. And you should go watch it. I am unbiased. But I'm not. If we talk forever, then we're going to be here forever. So we need to start. Well, that is the whole point of this, but we do need to start the run. So you may start whenever you are ready.
All right, so allow me to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
So if you're not familiar with our show, this is an advice podcast where you send us in questions and we answer them with a guest. Please send us in questions. We need more questions. We need questions so badly. We also have a big announcement before we get into these questions, and that is that we are going to be having a live show at Mid-Spring Speed Fling in 26 days of the time of recording, which is not when you're hearing this. So I don't know why.
It's on April 2nd. April 2nd, 2022 at approximately 1:30-ish p.m. Central Time.
That'll be on the Midwest Speed Fest Twitch channel. And then
the guest going to be?
The guest is going to be a surprise. It could be anyone, really.
It could be anyone. It probably will be everyone.
We don't know who the guest is going to be.
Who will be providing the run for said podcast?
Swoos.
Whoa.
I don't know if you've heard of them, but
yeah.
They'll be doing the run for that. If you are going to be at Mid-Spring Speed Fling, you can come with your questions, and you'll be able to ask them in person. If you're not going to be there, you can send your questions online, and we might get to them. It depends on how many people are at the live event. And that will hopefully be able to publish that to the podcast feed. I'm not entirely sure yet, but definitely check that out.
We'll find a way.
And we'll mention it on the Twitter account if you're not following that, twitter.com/dearpbpod. Go follow that, and you'll know when it happens. All right, so show where it's not just us talking about our own show. Sanjan, who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm just your average run-of-the-mill speedrunner. I specialize in RPG games. I started with Octopath Traveler, which is what you're seeing right now. It was the first speed game I have ever done, but I've been watching speedruns actually for a very long time, primarily Pokemon speedruns, since around 2014 or so. So I've pretty much just been watching the scene, but haven't really done runs until around the late 2019 or so, where very surprisingly, I was doing a achievement for Octopath, which primarily relates to speedrunning, where you have to complete a single story in less than around 3 hours in game time. And then so I looked up Cyrus, who was my favorite character at that time, and then I replicated the route, and then the rest is history.
I have a question about that, and that is, what is the difference between the world record and the barrier that you need for the speed run?
So there's a lot of categories in Octopath, Octopath's, a category where there's many different types. There's the short runs, which we call single stories. So most of them are around a max of an hour or so.
Okay.
And then there's the half game categories, which is around 2 hours. And then there's the full game categories, which is around 3 hours. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. And kind of the requirements for a top run very much kind of depends. So
I always Sorry.
So for a single story run, it's generally more RNG dependent, especially because there's less time in the run. But But even like the half game categories and the full game categories, like there is some luck involved, but there's more kind of like mental optimizations you have to do.
That makes sense. I just love when games have like speedrun achievements, and then like they're like really hard if you're not a speedrunner, and like really easy if you are a speedrunner. Like Hats has some in Hats like hardcore mode, and they're the easiest ones if you know how to speedrun.
Yeah, Superliminal has 2 Steam achievements. The fastest one is 30 minutes, where the world record is like 21 and a half, so
That's pretty tight, actually. That's fairly tight.
Yes and no. Like,
No?
Once you learn how to get like sub 30, it's very easy. You can kind of get it on like a fast casual playthrough. It's just a lot of optimizations for the game, like towards the top level.
That makes sense.
But Octopath is really generous when it comes to their achievements because it's 3 hours, and a single story is just like generally under an hour, especially in game time.
Yeah. Which I guess if you're doing side stuff in an RPG, then you're not going to hit that probably, but you were caught by surprise. All right, we have questions that were sent in.
All right, let's have it.
Dear PB, when do you feel like you can retire from a specific run? From giving up the glitch?
Whenever you feel it's necessary.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, it varies because like in a lot of speed games, like there's always going to be new tech being found. Like I know Octopath has had sort of kind of like a renaissance like about a year ago, and then again like actually pretty recently a lot of people have started getting back into Octopath speedruns, and more optimizations have been found in many categories. So like, but I guess it varies for me like when I should retire, because I fully believe that you can never, like, you may try to quit speedrunning, but speedrunning never quits you, you know? It always, you know, kind of creeps up on you. But it just kind of depends for me, like, what I'm looking for in a run. Like, am I looking to get world record? Am I going to for, like, a very top time? Usually, personally, myself, I don't world record hunt, but I hunt for, like, good times that are satisfying to me.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way, where it's like, once you have a run where it's like, yeah, okay, this is good, then it's not that, I don't feel like that, but I would necessarily retire, but I'm more likely to move on and then just have it in my back pocket for events and things like that.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that... Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of just get to a goal that I want, or just get bored of it, or both.
Yeah. Like, if it's something that requires a ton of D-Rust, then it has the potential to be something that I fully retire from, like Crosscode, which is the first game I ever ran, is extremely hard. And, like, in order for me to actually run that again, it would take, like, I don't know, lots of hours of essentially relearning the whole game at this point, just because I don't have the muscle memory for it anymore. So I'm not super likely to go back to that at any time, just because, like, the amount of effort that I have to put into it isn't super worth it for a game that I like, but like I think is a really cool run, but just like don't have really like the energy to grind that out really. Right. So I guess that's where it is for me, like where that like there's a effort to reward ratio, and at some certain point I'm like, maybe good.
Yeah, when I was running Brawl, I was at a point where I was kind of just getting bored of the game.
Yeah.
But I was really close to getting world record. So I was like, all right, once I get world record or sub 2 hours, I'll stop. And that's what happened. So it's kind of just at a point where it's like getting bored with the game. I don't want to play the game anymore. I'll do like one more goal and then finish. Or if like the game gets so optimized to a point that you can't really improve anymore, then it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it varies too. Like, there's a lot of games I want to get to, but then like I get easily distracted by like different games that I want to run. Like, there's a lot of things that I would want to do that I want to get in Octopath. Like, I want a better time in many categories, but unfortunately, fortunately, like I kind of try to dedicate myself this year to doing BioWare speedruns and like focusing on the Mass Effect series.
Oh,
yeah,
I
it's
will
definitely
say,
a motivation thing too.
Yeah, I will say the other point at which I'm like, maybe I'm done, is if like there's a physical toll to it that I don't want to put in. Where it's like, this is hurting my hands, and no, thank you.
That is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel with Pokemon. Like, I love speedrunning Pokemon, but it's a lot of the games like put a real physical strain on my hands,
Yeah.
and I personally like. Well, I'm personally kind of more like an old timer, at least in terms of myself, in terms of like rules. But like, I could, it's like for example, when I speedrun Pokemon Black, like I can't do any more than like 5 or 6 hours, or else my hands will kind of like give out.
Gen 5 is so bad for ergonomics. It's such a painful game, just physically to run.
Yeah,
It's the worst part about it.
Like it's really bad. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy speedrunning, and I enjoy like the aspect of like learning manips, but it's just like I use my hands a lot for like, my job, so and if I didn't like if my hands caused me pain every time, then like I wouldn't
Yeah.
like I would rather very much put my health first over my like speedrunning
And
hobbies.
I don't have fun when my hands are hurting. I find those things kind of at odds with each other.
Really,
And so
game.
if I'm not having a good time doing the runs, then it's like, well, why am I here?
Hi,
Yeah.
kitty.
That move said it was called 1,000 Spears, but you really only set like 10 spears.
Yeah, it's an exaggeration. Also, I
Isn't
killed the
there a
3%
Pokemon move like
encounter.
that too?
There's a what?
Isn't there a Pokemon move like that too? 1,000 arrows or whatever.
No,
It's
there's
1,000 volts, the Japanese Thunderbolt name.
there's also 10,000 needles in Final Fantasy.
So there is also 1,000 arrows, and it's Zygarde's signature move.
Oh,
I don't think there's 1,000 bows.
yeah, I would imagine the animation doesn't have 1,000, given that the Pokemon has trouble with frame rate to begin with. Sanjan,
Almost.
so Sanjan, you kind of preempted our normal question that we ask here, which is what's the run that got you into speedrunning? So instead, I'm going to ask you, do you have a game that you're dying to either talk about or complain about?
You know, as much as I love Mass Effect, I complain about it here and there, just because there's one skip that makes me mad every time I do it, and it's that darn Spectre skip, because it makes it into like a 17-minute reset. It's frame perfect, and it requires you to be in sync with two keyboard input at the same time, which I am not good at. And
That's
I
interesting, 'cause,
had
like-
times where like I've been trapped for 2 hours, like just trying to get one lousy glitch, because if you don't get that, like you're losing a minute and 30 seconds, and it's the run's already somewhat optimized as well.
For whatever reason, that's like one of the type of trick that I find slightly easier, especially on keyboard, is just doing two inputs at the same time. Because Crosscode had one like that, and I never really had much trouble with it. And then it's like anything that's like, you need to run in a straight line. My brain's like, an angle? You meant an angle? Okay. The hardest trick is running in a straight line. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I have no problem with the Mako trick, which is if you watch my Frame Fatales run, which is what I do.
You should watch that run. It was very good.
Yeah, it was very good. Which like it's very RNG heavy, but like even that doesn't make me as mad. It's just like having to deal with 17-minute resets when I had to play at a very high level.
Well, I feel like in general, like it's easier to get mad at something in your control than something out of your control. Like you miss an input and you're like, well, that's my fault, and then you miss. But like with the Mako thing, there's literally like there's very little you can do to control it. You're just kind of at the whims of how the physics decide that you're gonna go that day.
Yeah, I think that's when I enjoy liking Mass Effect, because it's a much different run than say Octopath or like Pokemon, because the Mass Effect series tends to be more of a less RNG heavy games, but more like, how do you call it?
Positioning, I guess. Like
Yeah, it's more like, can you do the trick or not? It's like
it's
more
more
input
intentional
heavy
stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised y'all haven't looked into like like exact timing on like the feint and seeing if it's consistent like that. Unless you have, and I just don't know. Get blow timer in the
My
mix.
glitch hunter friend has looked into it. Like I think in the code he mentioned it's just like the RNG kind of like just turns extremely random.
Oh, there
for
is
whatever
RNG in
reason.
the that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that shows what I know, which is nothing.
It's okay. Even I don't know as much about like the inner glitch hunting mechanics because my friend has some glitch hunting secrets that he has.
Glitch hunting is very hard.
Yeah.
Really is.
Shout out to the glitch hunters. They're
Yeah,
they're putting in the labor, and a lot of times they don't get the credit they deserve.
true.
True.
That's why I try to befriend and keep my glitch hunter friends happy so that they find more glitches.
Yeah. You gotta bribe him with treats.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like they're a pet. Damn.
I mean, you can bribe anyone with treats.
That is true.
You can bribe me with treats. I love treats. We need a PO box so people can send me cookies.
I want cookies, especially
Right?
chocolate chip cookies.
I'm not a huge chocolate chip fan. I'll be honest.
If you were going to be a mid-spring speed fling,
Bring us cookies.
bring cookies and we'll prioritize your question.
True. I will 100% do that. I'm not above that. Dear PB, in your opinion, what does your speedrunning community need more of? From Community Conscious.
Runners.
Which
It
game?
depends on
All
the
of 'em.
community. Yeah. Sometimes it's more glitch hunters, sometimes it's more runners. Because more I hate to say this, but more like good quality community members, I guess. Or
That's
like
fair.
That is not unreasonable to say.
Damn. Mass Effect
more
on
like
blast
good
right now.
community. No, they're all decent people. It's just a very small community. There's not many.
Yeah, I know.
runners.
Yeah. More people, but they need to be good as well.
Yeah. Sometimes a tight knit community can be nice, but a lot of times I feel like there's like a middle level where I like where it's like not like super large, right?
Yeah.
There's like enough people that you have like a critical mass where things are being like people are discussing stuff, and like it's not like a channel that gets a post in it every 2 months or whatever.
Yeah. I've been in like all types of sizes of communities. Like the Brawl community at its peak was like 8 people.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think Boop is a good size.
Yeah, that's a good one, and we're always getting new people. And then you have on like the upper end, there's like Super Mario Odyssey or like Celeste with like thousands and thousands of people, and there's just no way to like have good discussions.
Yeah, like because
when there's that many people that could be a part of it, it's just like your stuff's gonna get drowned out.
Like in Switch Pokemon speedrunning, it's already hard enough to like reach any sort of consensus on anything, and like Switch Pokemon speedrunning is big. But people generally talking about a specific game's rules tends to be like not that many people. Like you definitely have a vocal minority who tends to be the people discussing rules the most, the people who care the most. And even that becomes like frustrating. And when you get like Celeste giants, like I don't even know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the Pokemon Speed community. They're too big for me, so like I just kind of like find my own group. Even though like in my time running Pokemon, like Omega Ruby and Pokemon Black, like I've gotten to know some of the folks because like some of them manage to find me like through like a certain website, or like they find me because of other people, etc.
Yeah,
but I prefer like my own side because I've kind of like built a community over like a couple friends from like different speed games. Like even if we go to different speed games, like we still hang out and around and about in each other's chats, which is actually really cool.
Did you all do the thing growing up where you were like, well, I have this friend group and this friend group, and clearly they'll get along if I introduce them to each other, and it like never works?
Yeah,
I've
find
had that happen
honestly,
plenty of times in my life.
Yeah, I try to do that all the time, and it like works like 10% of the time. But I feel like it honestly kind of works pretty regularly on with speedrunning friends, because there is just that common interest there, even if it's a different game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like even though like my friends don't even know like half the stuff in Mass Effect, like they'll still stop by and like try to support me, which I find like really awesome.
Or like I pretty much learned all the stuff in Mass Effect to help you commentate and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like
I can't execute because I haven't practiced, but like I understand what like everything is.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that for marathons, like, which is kind of underrated, is just like you can bring people who haven't speedran the game before, especially for small games.
Yeah, I think that is actually underrated. I like having like, if you have one person who like at the very least can explain things well, even if they're not a runner themselves, then you're always fine. Like,
Yeah, because
you
the
just want
burden's not on you as the runner to
Yeah.
have to do everything.
I just feel like you always want one person to be able to explain stuff when you need to focus.
Yeah,
Um,
like in a couple places in Mass Effect, like I actually like really need to focus, so like having you commentate my runs is like really good.
Yeah. And I think I do an okay job, especially given the fact that whenever I commentate, the bitrate just goes to hell.
It's okay, the blobs are just enough.
Yeah, the Vermeer
sometimes.
fight, every time I commentate, is just like 8 pixels, and I'm just like, I don't know what room she's in at this point.
Stuff's happening.
Stuff's happening. I'm going to
Stuff's
generally explain the
dying.
goals here.
This is what should be going on here, and done. All right, cool.
Yeah, what else do my speedrunning communities need more of? They need more new people. And we have been getting new people, which is cool. But I'm always excited to see people who either, like... I always feel excited. Like, I'm always excited when people are like, yeah, I'm interested in this, and I feel like I want to stick around. Because that didn't used to be the case in PSR in a lot of cases. So it's cool when people are like, yeah, it's cool here. I like it. Like, oh, yes.
I need to convert more people to run the games that I play.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna evangelize.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Mass Effect. I think it's a really cool and unique speed game for people to get
into.
It
is very cool.
I think people tend not to run games like that as much because it's all about the story to them, and you do. Yeah. It's not as bad in 1, but in 2 and 3 speedruns, you make some pretty questionable story decisions.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I don't really.
I can understand why.
I don't put a lot of stake into speedrun story decisions, though, right? Like that's not my canonical playthrough of the game.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I'm learning too, and you make some pretty terrible decisions, like really bad decisions, but like I kind of just like keep that aspect separated from me. And like when I asked like one of the big Mass Effect 2 speedrunners and about it, like I asked him like, do people get mad when you do like a whole bunch of runs and you just like see bad stuff happen? And they're like, oh yeah, nobody gets mad. Everyone just like starts memeing,
yeah,
and stuff.
It's like when you like read a choose your own adventure book and just like it's like doing a choose your own adventure book and like just reading through it sequentially. Like it's not actually like you're not gaining anything about it in a story sort of standpoint. So like I don't feel like you need to really dwell on the fact that my character's doing bad decisions. Even if I wouldn't.
It's not your character. Like, it's the collective speedruns character.
It's not exactly.
So blame the speedrun community for making bad decisions.
Just blame the devs.
Yeah, if they weren't in the game, you wouldn't make them. So it's the devs' fault.
We at DoPB condone blaming the devs. We do not do that. That was a joke. Do not harass devs.
Yeah, don't do it. They already go through enough. They don't need to go through anymore.
They already have to deal with gamers all day. That's rough.
Actually, speaking of like people interceding, there's actually an interesting situation that happened in the Mass Effect Andromeda speedrun community, because I think someone who was a QA that worked on Andromeda joined the community, and then like a whole bunch of stuff, like a whole bunch of like glitches that were in previous patches, because that person did a speedrun and found out how like the speedrunners were using like glitches and stuff. Like all of that got patched, and then like the runners were understandably like quite unhappy about it.
Yeah,
that's kind of lame.
I've experienced that as well,
like
in other games.
I understand as a developer being like, okay, we need to patch these bugs because they're bugs. And like that reflects poorly on us, especially if it's like extremely game-breaking stuff, like soft-locking casual players and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's like a good line. It's like if a glitch can affect the casual playthrough like easily, then I think it's totally reasonable to patch it, even
That's
if
how I
it
feel.
benefits speedrunners. But if it's like a very like niche thing that like no tip or like very very few casual people are gonna do, and it takes advantage in the speedrun, then that's not cool.
Yeah, I'm not. I agree with that too. Yeah, and like doing runs and then patching out. That's a whole weird other
Yeah.
like it's a whole weird situation
It's
there. There's like a betrayal
that
of
is
trust
weird.
there.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Like there's nothing stopping them from just looking at a speedrun and seeing stuff, but
Yeah.
like being part of the community and like doing that, and then that's not that cool.
Yeah, I would like
Yeah.
hope that they felt pressured by their job to do it and didn't do it on their own volition, I guess.
That's how.
You know
That's
what I mean?
that's what I was thinking. Just because, like, I think they have a history of patching out those glitches. Because like it's a similar thing with the Dragon Age. Because you can't get like it's done like some of those speedruns are done on like very early patches that you can't get anymore.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things were patched out.
Also, if you're a dev and you're on Steam, just make a beta branch.
Yeah, beta branches are
rule.
good.
Yeah. Obviously, like AAA devs aren't going to do that, but if you're an indie dev, we love an indie dev that releases the beta branches as separate or speedrunning patches. It's very nice.
Speedrun friendly.
Speedrun friendly devs are beloved.
Yeah, I actually coming to this, I think something else that might be unique that even I didn't like at first, but I think more PC games should adopt is more, I guess, like mods that, especially for PC, that help increase like accessibility
Oh, I love accessibility mods.
or like remove like any like boring stuff that nobody asks for in speedruns.
So, how do you feel about Purple Rift
Yes.
Crash?
It's fantastic. I love
Okay.
crashing.
Yeah, and Hat, there's now a patch to prevent a crash, but technically that's a mod. It is
it's
legal.
legal.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
But
what it does, it just changes the music to be a single track instead of like a layering track, because there is some. It's still not like confirmed to be the case, but we're like 95% sure that it's when the music tries to loop, it crashes for some reason. So by like removing the layered music and stuff and just having one thing on it, it works better and it's good.
It's good. I love not crashing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never been. I mean, I'm a speedrun zoomer, but like, I don't know, like game purity and whatever is like, eh.
If it makes the game nicer to run and it isn't like unfair to other people, whatever.
I love the thing that Hades does, where they have like the one mod that makes the end of the RNG like consistent. I think that's really cool. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Possibly.
I believe this is.
I'll pretend that I do.
I believe I didn't make this up, but I believe so. At the end, have you all played Hades?
Yeah.
I've never played it, so I don't know.
So good. So at the end of Hades, essentially, like there's a bunch of doors, and one of the doors has a thing you need to progress, and it could take anywhere from I think 1 to 5 or 6 doors. And so there's a mod that makes it so it always takes 3 doors. And there's unmodded runs as well. Like they're just different categories. But I love the idea of like, hey, we have a thing that normalizes this RNG in the end game. Especially because that game already has a ton of RNG. It's not like they're making it completely static. It's not like set seed. Since it is like a roguelike. Mods like that are cool. Like, well, like Kingdom Hearts just got a mod that just cuts out boring stuff. There's no gummy ship, and people are like, this actually owns. It makes the game way more fun to run because it's not just this really boring auto scroller segment.
There's also the mod in BioShock Infinite, which makes like a 1 in 50 drop guaranteed, which is required for the run.
Yeah, I've heard of that
which is interesting.
too.
That's definitely
cool.
More controversial, but they have different categories for the things, so I think it's fine.
Like the way I feel about that is, it's the equivalent of like just cutting out the 49 runs where you didn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Octopath has a similar issue to like BioShock 2 because I think you folks noticed it when I said, "Oh, really?" like early on because I killed a cute little kitty cat. I'm also sorry. Not sorry, but
You do what you have
This
to do.
kitty
It's
cat
not the
is a
canonical run.
3% chance, and as this character, it's not 100% chance to kill it, but especially in some categories, you can be hunting for little cute kitties to kill for hours, and like especially for a single story, like it's just not fun grinding. So this
Yeah.
topic has actually been like brought up a couple times in the Octopath community. Like, should we add a PC mod to guarantee a Kate so that you can grind out runs? Because it's a problem, especially in like the longer categories where a Kate saves like 2 minutes, and it's already kind of well optimized enough to where you kind of need a Kate.
Yeah.
Right. And you're gonna have people that are like, "Oh, I run Minecraft. Why can't if there's mods for this? Why can't we have mods to guarantee drops?" And there can be, if the community is okay with it and you split the leaderboards. I think that's fine. If you make the game easier to run, but acknowledge that not everyone needs to use it.
Hi, this is post-production May, the May that gets added in after the fact. Did you know we have a Patreon? If you're already a Patreon subscriber, this message isn't for you. Thank you, we love you, you can tune out for this part. But if you're not, for only $3 a month, you can get access to episodes early and get a bonus episode at least once per month. The bonus episodes are like different from the regular episodes. They're a lot more unhinged, which is kind of saying something. You get access to all the ones we've already done, even if you subscribe now, so that's cool. We don't want to have to run ads during this program, because ads suck, and supporting us via the Patreon helps us not have to do that. You can check it out at patreon.com/dearpbpod if you're interested and can afford to do so. You're already supporting us by listening to the show and telling others about it, so this is kind of like a bonus thing you could do if you really like it. Okay, cool, I'm done, bye. I've always been like I've always kind of looked at all of this in sort of a like, I don't know, I call it like humanist speedrunning way, where it's like, at the end of the day, it's people who do this. It's not we're not machines. And so like, if you're intentionally doing stuff for like purity's sake that drastically reduces the well-being of the people doing it, like I just don't understand prioritizing that.
I feel weird about that, but I'm actually surprisingly someone who, for myself, like tries to kind of like be as pure as possible. But like I started like trying to open up and advocate for more people like doing accessibility, and I have no problems like adding stuff for like more quality of life. But I guess it's more like an achievement thing for myself. Like I like to try to keep things as like original as possible, but I never kind of like try to, you know, like put people down for like wanting different stuff.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I have no problem with that. And like, it's often not like a deal breaker for me if it's not that way. But like, I don't know. Like, we've been talking about some timing stuff involving Legends Arceus, and like a bunch of top runners have talked about how they want to cut out the tutorial, like the first 14 to 13 minutes of just like where you essentially walk forward, mash for a while, and throw 3 balls. And there's like 4 seconds of possible time save there in a 4-hour run. And like, I'm a big advocate of cutting that stuff out because like that adds up and it's not super meaningful, and like timing start is all arbitrary anyways. So like, prioritize your well-being. This is a thing you do for fun.
Yeah,
I can tell you that if I had to create a shepherd every time and watch a 3-minute cutscene every time in Mass Effect, I'd probably lose.
Exactly.
I'd probably lose my my marbles like really quick, just because like resets can come in as early as like 2 minutes if you fail a trick at high levels.
Like, there's only so much you can like sit there literally wasting your own time, I feel, before you just kind of burn out, regardless of how dedicated you are to it. Like Sunshine, I know, is another one where they just skip the intro cutscene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's optional. You
like a mod to.
It's like a hacked file. You you do airstrip and then you go right into Delfino, so you skip about 6 minutes of cutscene.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
that rules. I love that. Because if like you do thousands of attempts, 6 minutes over thousands of attempts, that's a lot of time of your life. You're sitting there watching the same 6 minutes of cutscene. You could be doing runs or literally anything else. This is probably my hottest speedrunning take, if I had to be honest.
Cutscenes should be outlawed.
Cutscenes should be outlawed. I agree.
It kind of depends though, because Mass Effect has like cutscenes, but like you use them to execute glitches.
Cutscenes
like, in
should
that-
always be skippable. That's the actual take.
I wish, like, Mass Effect 3 is really guilty of this, but at the ending, there's 20 minutes worth of cutscenes, and there's no, like, real without getting into too much spoilers, there's no real final boss in Mass Effect 3.
Though, what do you mean?
And
I also don't want to spoil
20,
it, but
20 minutes of cutscenes, like, in a speed run, and you can't skip it. Like, you have to watch it, and you have to advance through the dialogue, and you pretty much might as well just, like, go take a nap.
it's such a good ending. What a good ending to the trilogy. We're gonna relitigate this 10 years later. Oh my god, 10 years later now. On stream,
There was actually, like, talk about
3.
a mod to like skip that part, but people said no to it for whatever reason, and I'm just like, no.
You could just if it's at the end, I will admit it's not as bad because you don't see it as often. I say that as somebody who runs a game with a 10-minute like part that we could easily just cut out by changing the timing method, and it would have next extremely low effect on the game at large that I fully hate, because it's 10 minutes where I can't just walk away and I have to sit there and wait, and then I just dwell on all of my mistakes and I become really negative unless the run was super clean.
I actually don't mind that for some reason, because like I personally walk away, but Mass Effect 3 you literally cannot walk away from it. You have to sit there, and that makes me more annoyed.
That is worse. Yeah. That is worse, that you have to actually do stuff. Like, at least you can go to the
I'm not
bathroom.
trying to kind of step on the ladder of, no, this hurts more, but like I totally understand the Aura's one, but like I guess I'm someone who just like can go like either way.
On
the game.
I would agree that having to actually do like mash 20 minutes of unskippable cutscene or whatever is totally worse, like 1,000%. But it's bad regardless.
Yeah. And
Halfway through
honestly,
ATP.
endings are arbitrary. I don't know why Mass Effect 3 doesn't end at a certain point, but I guess it's just like
end at the final boss
for quote purity reasons. But
that's what I'm saying.
Personally, in that case, it's just like I'm not gonna sit through 20 minutes of cutscenes for
it's just not worth it
for a lousy ending, because Mass Effect 3 already there's some already bad RNG that you have to do.
Yeah, like start and ending times, I feel like, are the things that it's like, I don't know, if you can cut out, like, even if there's technically a like minute amount of time saved there, it's gonna make everyone's life that much worse. Like, cutting stuff out in the middle is like, that can be harder to justify, right? But the beginning and end, it's like, well, we could end this 10 minutes early, and like it could technically have an effect, but it's extremely negligible. And in exchange, like, it's better for everyone involved, whether you're a runner or a spectator. That seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like that, like having like that draws people away from speedrunning. Like,
exactly.
Why would you make a thing that, like, I even as someone who's like, who, like I try to keep things original, but like I'd put that aside if it means like more people will get into speedrunning that game, because I guarantee you more people will get into speedrunning that if that happened.
Yeah, I think like run longevity is something that is sometimes underprioritized. I agree. Where it's like, if this thing sucks to run because of like arbitrary rule stuff that we could change, like it has the potential to just like either suppress or kill the game. Because why would you want to have to sit through, like, have to know that at the end of your run you have 20 minutes of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that, like, again, could easily be changed. If it's 20 minutes of nonsense in the middle, that's, again, a harder thing to justify, but...
Right.
Yeah. Make rules that are good. Don't make rules that are bad. That's my point.
Good rules are good.
Also, if people are listening to this and are involved in the PLA timing discussions, I swear to God, I'm not subtweeting you.
I don't know anything that's going on with PLA, so I guess I'm glad I'm not really part of that. So I only enjoy the game casually.
Yeah. This has always been my opinion. I've expressed that on this show before, so not subtweeting anyone. Sanjan, what achievement are you most proud of in your speedrunning career? We really got a lot of mileage off that question.
That was a good question.
That was a good question. Thanks, Community Conscious.
Give me 5 seconds to complete this menu, because this is a long menu, and I have not done this menu in a long time.
Sweets, what's your favorite live show?
Well, on April 2nd, that one, the one that'll be Mid-Spring Speed Fling in a town adjacent to Minneapolis.
Is it not technically in Minneapolis?
It's in Plymouth.
Oh.
In Plymouth, Minnesota. There will be a Dear PB live episode.
We'll be there. Well, at least Swiss and I will.
I'll be there. You'll be there. Hat and Time will be there.
Hat and Time will be there. Yeah.
Yeah. If you missed episode 4, where an ATP base levels run was done, you'll get another one from someone not as good.
We might have a return guest. That'll be cool. We don't know yet.
Yeah. We'll have the audience, and we'll have a hotline. We won't have a hotline.
Phone lines are open. Send your calls. Don't call us. We don't have a number. All right. Sandra, what achievement are you most proud of in your speedrunning career?
This might be a surprise, but I think my biggest achievement was getting a 304 in Omega Ruby, because, like, when it comes to Pokemon, I actually kind of, like, I always kind of wished I'd be good, but, like, I felt like I wasn't, I feel a lot more, like, average and not as good, like, when it comes to Pokemon, despite, like, my achievements in other games. And, like, getting, like, a really good time in Omega Ruby and keeping up with, like, the really good runners made me realize, hey, maybe I am really that good.
Yeah, you got a 304 crazy fast too. As someone stuck at a 308 in Alpha Sapphire, I was like, how did she do it?
Teach me how, so I don't have to
I don't
learn
know. I guess don't get the worst luck ever like I do. That helps. Also be good, which I have never learned how to do. So
yeah, I'm sort of a tryhard when it comes to speedrunning, but, like, not enough to like where I go for world records, I guess. Like, I don't mind getting a world record on the way, but it's, it's also kind of like I want to, like, achieve top times, sort of ideology, like, just improve people. Hey, I'm good at video games, but there's, like, of course there's other reasons as well.
I also like not trying hard in general.
Yeah. If I could just innately learn the run without having to put in the effort, I would.
Oh my god, I hate learning. I refuse to do it. I will never learn.
And that's why I haven't learned Pokemon yet, because I don't want to learn 3 hours of route.
I will never learn, and that's why our RTMP server is still screwed up after a month of issues. Dear PB, is speed running? Speed strutting, the episode title. Is speed running something you use to de-stress, or something you need to de-stress from?
Yeah.
Weary on the world record grind. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely both.
Yeah. Speedrunning is stressful if I'm learning stuff, and not stressful if I'm not learning stuff. Then stressful again if, like, the run's good. I think that's my actual take.
Yeah, it's stressful if I'm at a point where I'm, like, good enough at the game.
Ooh,
and it's not that bad when I'm learning.
See, when I'm learning, I, like, have to think, and then I get frustrated because I'm bad. And I'm like, why am I not good yet? And then it's like, well, because you haven't practiced enough. And I'm like, but I should be good by now.
Like, after I've learned the game and I'm just getting better at the game, that's when it's not that stressful. It's stressful when I need to worry about every little mistake, or when I'm learning stuff and can mess up something that screws up everything else.
I actually surprisingly enjoy the learning process, but that's because I try to take my time with the learning process, because I try to approach it from an analytical, like, speedrun view. Like, I try to see, like, is there something, like, okay, what's this run about? Is there something I can improve? What did the world record, like, top runners do wrong in their runs? Like, I approach it with a very analytical view.
I like learning up until, except for 2 specific things. One is when my hands start to hurt from grinding, like, practicing tricks. I don't like that. And 2, I hate watching runs. That's not true. I don't hate watching runs, but if it's something that I already know, and I can't like interact with it, it's like the same energy to me as like watching a movie, something that I don't often do that much, unless I can discuss it with somebody at the same time, and so I get bored. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why. Like, I actually prefer, like, when it comes to learning, I prefer written notes over tutorial videos for, like, almost everything. Because for me, a lot of times, like, tutorial videos can have, like, a lot of miscellaneous stuff, like, I don't really care to know. Like, that's, like, when I look at tutorial videos or PB videos, I just, like, kind of go to the parts that I care about, really.
Yeah. Tutorial
for
videos
sure.
are good for like specific placement and stuff, or like like watching specific. The best part of a tutorial video is that you can slow them down and go frame by frame, especially if there's an input display. But then otherwise, I'm like, I love a text. Same thing. I like text articles. I don't like to watch video articles, things like that. Though I do like video essays.
Tutorial videos are also very good at spending too long on things that you don't need to spend too long on.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like 40-minute videos for a like 2-minute IL. And it's like, you don't need this much time.
I'm so glad I saved.
And there's also times when the tutorial doesn't like edit, not to be like elitist, but it's like you shouldn't be including like all of your mistakes for a trick. You shouldn't be like, oh, here's how you do this trick. Oh man, I missed it. Oh man, I missed it again. Like you can say like, here's how you could miss it, and here's what you do if you miss it, but don't just throw yourself at a trick 100 times and then keep that in the video.
You know what? Speedrunning tutorials don't do that.
Yeah.
The famous speedrunning tutorial series, Can This Be Speedrun by You? It certainly can.
The answer is always yes.
What if you wanted to speedrun, but your game said no?
Speedrunning is a thing that is achievable by you. Should you watch this video? I cannot tell you what to do, but maybe dash a hat in time.
Yeah, that's actually the name of my video. You should look that up on Google, and you'll see it.
I will. I still don't know the actual name of the series. I get it
know.
wrong every time, and now I'm just gonna do a bit where I never say it right. And that may sound like me being extremely rude, but it's actually just me not being able to remember words. So I'm in the clear. That's my point.
You, as a newer speedrunner that is not fully familiar with this game, can in fact speedrun this game.
This is
which
a fast
is also
you could
known
do.
as a hat in
Question
time.
mark?
Can you play this fast?
Perchance.
And then there's the law of headlines, where anything that ends in a question mark can be answered with no. So no, you cannot play this fast. Sorry.
Are you unable of doing this quickly? Unable? Enables is a different word? Can you enable fast mode?
Can you be enabled to go fast? Yes.
Everyone knows that the best titles for series are all in the passive voice. I love when you're not an agent in your own fast going.
Can a person just like you play a game quickly? No.
Can a person just like you play a game quickly? Added to the possible episode title
the
list.
Longest title name.
It's really good.
Anyways, speedruns are stressful and also unstressful.
Yeah. So I guess what we could
Closure.
say is they're a land of contrasts.
Wow, that's like poetic.
Yeah, or a high school essay. Take your pick.
Merriam-Webster's dictionary
They
describes
define speedrunning, yeah, as stressful, but sometimes not? Question mark?
I guess it depends on how you approach it. Because if I got too, my sign, I guess this goes back to our previous question. My sign for stopping the speedrunning something if it's like too stressful for me, like if I'm losing sleep over it, or if I'm losing my marbles over it, like big time, like I know that's my sign of I should stop.
Yeah.
If a game is giving you nightmares, you might be speedrunning a horror game, but you also should probably stop.
I would generally agree with that, yeah. If you're having dreams about the game, that's not necessarily bad. That's just the Tetris effect. But if you're waking up in a cold sweat then that's not great. I don't recommend it. Dear PB, who would win in a mountain climbing contest? Mass Effect's Mako or Skyrim's horse? From Octini. The horse.
Oh,
I feel like
oh dear.
I don't know though, because
Depends on your RNG. With
I don't
my
think-
limited
yeah.
knowledge of Mass Effect.
I don't feel
Depends
like
on
the
your
Mako.
RNG, yes.
I don't feel like the Mako climbs mountains. I feel like the Mako like
Goes up
ascends,
them.
but it's not climbing. Like with climbing, you're like going from like ridge to ridge, you know? Like you are on the ground unless you were like jumping. I feel like that's an important part of climbing. It's like if you took a helicopter up to the top of a mountain, no one would say you climbed the mountain. You like flew there. So I think the Mako is closer to that.
Yeah, the Mako you more or less like kind of yeet yourself there.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
In a mountain trebuchet style ascension contest, the Mako would crush it. My favorite type of contest that we've all participated in.
Those always happen. I did those in high school.
Oh, at your school had a club for that?
Yeah, we had the
you went
mountain
to a
trebuchet
rich
style
school.
competition club. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's mountain trebuchet style ascension competition.
Oh, sorry.
club.
We didn't have the ascension part. We only just
Really?
had the trebuchet. Yeah, we built the trebuchet.
I have
Then we
never
gave
heard
it
of
to
this.
we gave it to a richer school to ascend the mountain.
I have never heard
Ah.
of this. This must be like a East Coast thing.
It's a Northeast thing.
Yeah. Well, so,
our notable mountains in the East Coast.
so the thing with here in the Midwest is actually a hill trebuchet style ascension competition because we don't have mountains.
Right.
I didn't actually see a mountain until I was 22 years old.
Wow.
That's not actually true. Unlike the rest of what we've been saying, which is fact.
What was your first mountain experience?
I don't know. I don't know.
The first time I actually went like way like at the top of a mountain was in Vietnam.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I went to Sapa, and we climbed the mountain all the way to the top there. And then like there's like the Vietnam flag. Funny enough, my cousin asked me if I wanted to take a picture with it, and then me and my family were all like, no, because it's kind of bad to take a picture of that for cultural reasons, at least for our diaspora here. But that's a different story.
I can see that. I
But
can
did
see
you
that.
use a trebuchet to get up there?
No, so we had like those kind of like sky rails or whatever with like the little trams like hold people in there. Like it was
Cable
actually really
cars.
recently built. Yeah, the cable cars. We took a cable
Yeah.
car and then we walked all the way to the top, and that was definitely a trek.
My first mountain experience was probably skiing. Probably.
Probably
But
so.
my first, my most memorable mountain experience is when I learned that I get altitude sickness, which was
Ooh.
super cool. Which was when I was visiting, I think I was like 14 or something. And we were visiting my uncle who lived in Vegas. And we drove up to the mountains. And I learned I got altitude sickness when I passed out.
Nice. That's a
Oh,
good way to
wow.
learn.
That was cool. That was fun. I don't recommend it.
No, yeah, that's a good takeaway. Don't
Yeah.
get sick.
Don't get sick.
Don't get altitude
We
sickness.
at DRPB condone not getting sick.
Try being healthy.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Dear PB, what is proper etiquette for building off of other people's notes and routes? From Noteworthy New Runner. You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is okay as long
You
as
can
you're
do it.
not antagonizing the person who made them.
Yes.
Yeah, don't give people bad stuff for wrong notes, because it takes a lot of time to write notes. Like I've written a lot of Octopath notes, and there's plenty of errors in it, but thankfully everyone's polite enough to say, hey, like, you made an error. But I have seen people be jerks over other people's notes, and I'm like, no, don't do that, buddy.
I have gotten really frustrated with notes before, like in the middle of a run, where I get to the end of a run and the notes are wrong, and then I lose my run. And then it's like, oh, I'm 3.5 hours into this, and because of an error, now all that time's
Yeah.
gone, and it's hard to not be a little upset about that. But I do try to be like, okay, I'm mad at the notes. I'm not mad at person who wrote the notes.
Yeah,
Like,
try and vet your notes, make sure they work instead
Well,
of just hoping.
with Pokemon, it's hard though. 'Cause it's like, is this
Yeah.
math right? I assume so.
Yeah, it's hard to like practice individual Pokemon segments, so you kind of don't know what's happening until like something bad
Right.
happened until like it actually
Yeah.
happens.
Because you
Like,
have
it's
so many
easy with
like possible
Octopath,
edge cases.
It's easy
Yeah.
with Octopath because you can practice like every little segment, but I totally understand for Pokemon because when it comes to Pokemon notes, I usually like take it at face value. Like, so for example,
Yeah,
if they
same.
told me like to do the worst thing ever, I'm probably gonna do it. I probably don't care.
So-called
of
free
thing.
thinkers when they're presented with Pokemon notes.
You know?
I'll whenever I like run something, I tend to just make a copy of whatever Google Doc it is, and then add my own edits to it. The one downside to doing that, because there's like stuff that like that way I can actually like essentially add my own comments to it. But the one downside to doing that is it does mean that at some point my notes become extraordinarily out of date. Like my Let's Go notes are so out of date, it's not even funny.
Gotta make the pull request
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All notes
on
just
the
be on
Google
GitHub.
Doc.
Yeah. Just branch the notes, then you can merge changes.
Perfect.
The world's not ready for what's the term for what Git is?
Version
Talk-
control?
No, not version control. There's like a term that I can't remember.
For what?
Distributed notes.
Oh, yeah.
Too powerful.
But I guess
when-
there's some games where like notes don't like really help you much at all. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
would
true.
actually say Mass Effect is a good example of it, unless you're doing like the very long categories.
They're
So, I
much more.
guess
They're
so.
much more critical for RPGs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very RPG critical.
Like I couldn't do RPGs without notes. I like whenever I get rid of stuff in my notes, I find myself going back and then being like, "Oh God, now I'm self-doubting myself, even though I've never messed this up before." I think I mentioned before that I also just like having pretty like I don't like cutting out too much from notes, even if it's stuff that I like in theory know from heart, just because I find it easier to track where I am in the notes.
Right.
Writing notes is hard.
Notes are difficult.
Notes are
Yeah, writing good notes is that other people can read. It's especially difficult because I have my own brand of notes where like I put very little in it, like enough for me to know what I'm doing. But like if some random person like finds it, like looks at it, or like it looks like chicken scratch to me.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's the
it
thing is
totally
like
makes perfect sense to me.
in general, writing for yourself not that hard. Writing for others extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And so that's like shout outs to anybody who puts in that effort. Shout outs to myself. I've done that before. Yeah.
You did the effort.
I've done the effort.
Yeah, it's
Ha.
definitely hard to approach teaching new runners. It's best to kind of do it when you're a new runner. That's what I did. I was like, what is someone like me going to want to learn?
Yeah.
Or what does someone like me need to know that like someone better than me might just pass off or like take for granted or something?
Yeah, there's like, especially like in speed games, there's just like a lot of terminology that you might not understand.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
there's a lot of nuance to writing notes.
Right.
When I first started running Hat, I also had my own notes where it's just like largely the order of things I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, oh, this level comes Nat first, and then I'm supposed to get 3 yarn in it, and then you get 2 yarn in that level. Then this
That's what I
level's
use my
next.
splits for.
Yeah, it works the same way. I just didn't want to put them in my splits for whatever reason.
Right.
But eventually, I like knew the actual like. Or no, I remember my notes also had what level you enter from, because I kept forgetting.
Yeah,
especially
I
for
used to do
subcon.
that. I used to have that in my splits too.
Yeah, so that was really useful. Those were like pretty like lightweight notes for something like Pokemon that's extremely in depth.
Right.
To answer the actual question, which was etiquette for people's notes, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
People are
pretty
gonna give you
much.
crap for like forking their notes. That's weird.
And fork them.
Yeah.
If you don't want your notes, like if you're gonna judge people for like, if people are gonna be judged for like taking like writing over their notes or something, make them private.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
just
do
don't share
get.
in the
them.
first
I have been
place.
pressured to sharing my notes before, maybe a little bit too early, and then it can be kind of frustrating. Where like I release my notes, and then people are like, "This is messed up. This is messed up. This is messed up." I'm like, "I know. I haven't checked anything yet." That's kind
Yeah,
of
I guess I
frustrating. But if
haven't
somebody
encountered
like,
that in
but
Pokemon.
if somebody fix the things for me, that'd be sweet. Hate doing work. So
Yeah.
again, the answer to the question is just do what you want.
Yeah, definitely. And I honestly think like if you have the time to dedicate, because honestly, some people don't have time to dedicate to writing notes, like which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like writing notes helps you understand a run like much more immensely.
I think so.
Honestly,
I agree with that.
Hmm.
like if you can
Yeah.
write notes for yourself because it'll help you understand the run a lot more.
The
Yeah.
best way to study for a lot of people is to just rewrite your notes,
Yep.
and then you remember them. And that carries over to speedrunning too.
Yeah, I think I've said before that like the way I feel like you truly understand something is if you can explain it to somebody else.
Yeah. That's why commentaries
That's why commentary is cool. Yeah.
always cool.
And then you still have to execute, which sucks. But I mean,
Yeah, well, you could theoretically do it. And that's where I'm at in my games. I could theoretically be better, but I'm not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust any community that doesn't have like an open source notes culture. That's extremely suspect to me.
Yeah.
But I also like anything that's like strat Heidi in general sucks.
Yeah,
It's
thankfully, I
so
guess in most
lame.
RPGs, you kind of can't hide your strats. Someone else is gonna decode it soon enough.
I think it's pretty rare in general.
Yeah, I think if
Fortunately.
it is, it'll be like more common in like, I don't know, non RPG
It's definitely
games.
hard to hide strats in general because
Yeah.
I mean, if you're able to watch the run and you're a good enough runner, you can pretty much figure out.
Did we talk about strat hiding on a previous episode? I feel like we did.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe the one with Ray. Talking about like people sitting on the world records to release later when somebody beat.
Oh yeah.
That sucks so
That is-
hard.
That is
I
the
don't know why
worst
people would
kind of
do that,
thing.
but okay.
That's
It
type of
sucks
thing.
so hard.
Be proud of your run and upload it as soon as you do it. That's what I do. Break Twitch TOS and upload your affiliated video as soon as you get it.
How do I do the first part now?
What? Break Twitch TOS?
No, being proud of
Get
your
a
run.
PB? Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, seems neat.
That sounds fun.
I think it depends.
What should I be looking out for time?
This is the final boss, so like
Last
3
round of
minutes,
boss?
but but this is
Okay.
credits, so the credits are very nice sounding, honestly.
Yeah, I just need to know because I just hit the end timer on my end because it's super
Okay.
delayed.
You chuck that.
I will someday fix this. Probably not for a bit. I'm super busy this month.
Yeah.
I guess we could start doing our outro then if we're wrapping up, closing up from the end of the run, yeah? I'm out of
Yeah.
questions. Please send us
Yeah.
more questions. I beg all of you. You have to have questions.
Send in questions. They don't
We
even
need-
have to be that good. We'll make them good.
Yeah. You know what? Any question you send in, that's a good question.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I don't want to ask this question because it seems like it's dumb, if somebody else probably has the same question.
Unless
you.
it's like just a
I
question
learned
mark.
that in 4th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to raise your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Don't
by
send-
raising your hand, I mean sending in a question at link in the description.
I'm going to raise my hand in the Zencaster right now.
Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah.
What is your question?
Let's say that I happen to be at in not quite Minneapolis.
Minneapolis
On-
adjacent.
Yeah, if I'm in Minneapolis adjacent on April 2nd around 1:30 p.m. What should I do?
Wow.
With my time.
So there's an event that's happening at VGMCon. It's
Oh.
called Mid-Spring Speed Fling, and there will be a podcast episode being held live at the marathon.
What?
We are.
Can you do that? Is that even legal?
The people doing it are basically hijacking the marathon for about an hour and a half to promote their own content.
I didn't know you could do a live podcast. I feel like we're maybe the first people to ever do that.
Yeah, I think we're the people that are running it are they're visionaries when it comes
time's
to
coming soon,
speedrun
by the way.
podcasting.
Got it. They
And
certainly
you should be
sound
there.
very cool, and I would not want to miss that
Time.
opportunity. I don't know what I'm looking for in terms of time here.
The last bar fills up on the second cutscene.
It says main.
Thankfully,
It says main.
Octopath. Yeah, you can split now.
Wait. I forgot that I had this open in 2 different windows because of our lag issues. So I was looking at the non-delayed one and was like, is it not done by now?
Thankfully,
Did you get it?
Octopath has something called skippable cutscenes, and it's very newbie RPG friendly for folks. So, good
Nice.
speed game
I think this is time.
for newbies.
Yes, that is time. I'm gonna assume that I think I timed it late, but it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I was close.
It's fine.
I was curious, what was the time on it? I haven't done this in like a year.
102.58.
Not bad for a death.
Yeah, and
2
that's a good
deaths
time.
actually.
I mean, 2 things. One, that's a good time for our podcast length, which is about an hour. And 2, this podcast is designed to produce bad runs. So the fact that you did a not bad run, that's never happened before.
Congratulations, you had a not horrible run.
That's not true.
Not like anyone's had a horrible run.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
There are no horrible runs. There are only
Horrible runners.
future improvement.
Okay.
There
There are
there are
horrible runners in
runners.
different ways, but for the actual run content itself, there's always improvable stuff.
True.
Sometimes that be more runs that you do. Sometimes that just might be more practice.
Speaking of more runs that you do, Sanjan, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media, of course, but you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv or ttv/Sanjan_. Just one underscore, by the way, because I can't get Sanjan by itself. You can also find me on Twitter at SanjanRS. That's Sanjan RS. And then you can find me around in different Discords, like the Octopath Speedrunning Discord, the Bioware Speedrunning Discord, the Kodor Speedrunning Discord, as well as probably memeing around in certain PSR Diversity members' streams. I'm around everywhere. I'm a big lurker.
True. Sanjan just appears sometimes and you're just like, whoa.
Whoa.
That's my favorite
Speaking
thing to
of-
do.
Speaking of whoa, you can follow Dear PB at YouTube link in the description and at
Whoa.
twitter.com/DearPBpod. If you
Whoa.
have questions, you can send them in to the form of the description or by emailing us at dearpb@maybreak.com, DEARPB@MAYBREAK.com. Nobody uses the email, but I will continue to plug it every episode until I die.
Yeah. Whoa.
Also, we have a Patreon that was mentioned before, patreon.com/dearpbpod. And there's a Discord you can join if you want to discuss the episodes with other fans of the show. Link in the description. We're excited to see each and every one of you at the live show. So that'll be really cool when you're all there.
Yeah, I like this
And-
podcast. It's a pretty cool group of people. Interesting questions to be had. Submit questions, by the way. There's no
Please
dumb
submit
question.
There's no dumb question. There's only dumb podcast hosts.
Hey.
Okay, bye.
Bye.